Recording. All right, so I'm using a third person template. This is in 5.2. So we have a default map. This is the map that opens. If you go to project settings, right, I have mine open already. Maps and modes. This determines what map is loaded when you open the editor, and then what map is loaded when you open up an executable, right? You can execute these so you don't have to install the engine. Right, for right now it's third person map. That's fine. Um, in this third person map, if I hit play, I'm a character. Well, I don't see a character in the map. How does it know that I'm a character? That's a thing called a game mode. If I go to my Windows and bring up my world settings, that you can override the default game mode of your system, or you can do it in your project settings that I'm using this blueprint third person game mode. The game mode has a lot of rules about how you do things like what's your heads up display, what's called a HUD, what shows up there, how do you keep scoring, how do you save games. Game mode is a lot of, it doesn't really seem useful until you start doing multiplayer and it gets really complicated. You're like, oh, here's where you're storing all this information. The most important thing about us that we want to look at is what is our pawn class? What do we look like? What character do we possess? Or do we change what we possess? And that is this third person character. So everyone playing this game will be a third person character. This character allows input, so it receives key presses, which we know for most blueprints doesn't happen except for level blueprints unless we enable it. So we're gonna hop on. We're gonna piggyback off of the third person character because every map we go to will have a third person character. So let's put our code in there. Cool. So third person character. It has all the things about mappings with WASD, arrow keys, PlayStation, Xbox controllers. We're going to add in our code in just an empty space, and we're going to use the numbers 1, 2, and 3. All right, so input 1, and then I can duplicate and make input 2, and then duplicate and have input 3. So we're going to do three things. What does this have to do with virtual production? Kind of nothing. It's just, I think this is fun. All right. It's contextual information. All right. So the first thing we want to do is that I want my character, I'm going to press 1 because I'm going to be the listen server. So I'm going to open up a map, and the map I haven't made yet, but I'm going to call it lobby with a capital L. This is case sensitive. Cool. And then there's a little arrow down here that says I have additional features, and I want to add an option. I want to say I'm a listen server. So the option is to listen to other people who might want to join my map. That's exciting. Two, I want to, I'm going to add one more. This is another thing. You can only do multiplayer in a standalone game. I'm going to show you how to get around this. On a standalone game, you can only do multiplayer with a standalone game, and then you're stuck in the standalone game that you can't escape because you haven't programmed it to say escape and quit. So I just always add in the word quit so that you can actually just escape and get out of it real quick. When you don't do it, you'll realize how annoying it is. You'll be like, oh yeah, that's why I said to do this. So anyway, quit. Right. The next thing I want to do is so when I hit 1, I'm going to go to a lobby map and I'm going to listen for somebody else to show up. So let's make the lobby map. We'll do a new level. We'll do basic, and then I'll hit save. And I'll make my style guide. Remember, is that we have everything in assets, and then I'll put maps in here. And this is again, what is it? It's lobby with capital L. Cool. Not very exciting, but there it is. Um, it's functional. So cool. So when I get to my lobby, then I need to wait for you folks to join me in the lobby too. And so I want to give you the ability to join me. And I don't know if you guys have looked at the console or the output log, but if you hit tilde, it opens up this little thing way in the very bottom. It says execute console command. And I could say things like stat FPS, right? And now I have a frame rate in the top right thing of my stuff. So you can script the Unreal Engine to say things. That's called a console command. I want to execute console commands. The console command is also a node. So I want to execute console command. And what is that console command? Is that I want to open 192.168.192. I want to open up, I want to make a connection to my computer. All right, so this is my 0 tier, and I'm .61. So this goes back to our spreadsheet that here's Todd, and this is how you connect to me, right? If you want to, if you're not sure you can connect to me ahead of time, you can always open up a command window or a terminal and say ping, and type in 192.168.192.61. And it'll say, yes, I got 4 responses from you in 32 milliseconds. You are actually connected to me, and my 0 tier is working, right? So I was right that I want to do 3 things, but I don't need three key presses. It was the escape. There we go. I had to bring up my notes to remind myself. Cool. So we are going to open up this, and I think is it. So I can guess myself. It is a 6-1. See, I already made a typo. 6-1. Cool. So if I now save all, and I'm going to go back to my third person map. So I'm just going to filter by levels, and I hit play. I can even take off this, make sure that I'm debugging. What am I debugging? I'm debugging this right here. And then when I hit 1, you'll see it execute. All right, so I just went into here. So I opened the level, and now it's listening. Um, Escape also escaped, but I wasn't playing a standalone game. The way you do a standalone game without having to leave the engine is underneath play, the 3 dots, there is standalone game. So I don't have to actually bake, and like it takes a long time to make an executable. This just kind of quickly on the fly makes a standalone game. Right, so now it's its own executable. If you were to open up any kind of like OBS would say, oh, this is its own game. Right. So now hit 1. I'm in another map. I'm waiting for you folks, and then you guys would hit 2, and you join my map with me. I hit escape. That works too. Cool. So I have this, and if you want to play along with me, I have already, because I'm making a cooking show more than anything here, is that I already have made this for you. And is called multiplayer 52. So I'm going to copy Dropbox link, go to Slack and Week9 and hit paste. So now you folks can play along. Uh, One thing to make very abundantly clear is that it has to be the same exact project. You can't just have somebody who wants to code those 3 blueprints in their own thing, like, and then they connect. They actually have to be the same project, right? And you can see how this can kind of get confusing because we're doing zip files that are over Dropboxes and Google Drives, and you might get confused at which multiplayer game. This is why we're going to have what's called source control. All of our information is going to come from a centralized location. But for now, download the link, download the map. I think it's 300 megabytes, which should be fine for this classroom for right now. And then open up the map, and it's in 5 too. So I'm not going to use the one that I just made. I'm going to use the one that I made before that's already zipped up because those are the actual same projects. I haven't really played around with it because I don't have, no one has that kind of free time. But I would guess that you might be able to copy this information. It might work, but I don't know. I'd rather just use the same exact one. So I've closed everything. I'm opening up multiplayer 5.2 that's on my desktop. That's the one I just sent you folks. It'd be great if, I don't know, 4 people would try. You know, you're paying for it. Might as well. So again, it's going to open up in the third person template because um, that's in the project settings. You have 3 little dot dot dots, and then you say standalone game, not play and editor. You do standalone game. I do something first, right? Because remember, I'm the server, I'm the teacher computer. I hit one, and then I patiently wait and see if anyone's following along with me in class. Yeah, that's fine. Totally. That's why I acknowledge the fact that there is a bottleneck with the Wi-Fi in this room, and it will get really bad by the end of the semester unless we do something about it. And I will be pinging you guys on Slack, um, like 3 hours before class. Please download the project, or please don't upload anything else to the project. Mm. Cool. And maybe I should give them this link at the very beginning. That's not how you do it in cooking show, though. You just say you put it in the oven, and then you take it out of the oven. In the meantime, while you're doing that, everyone can uh, again my IP address. I can write it out in week 9 for us. Right, it's 192.168.192.61. Right, and then you can always command prompt by a Mac or PC, command, and then say ping. There's no point in pinging myself because that's an exercise of utility. And if it doesn't work, that's the joys of doing live demos. All right. Does anyone have the project open? Anyone getting rejected? Still downloading. Wow. See, it didn't have anything. Cool. Let me download it on the side and see what's going on. Maybe I gave you the wrong folder or something like that. Multiplayer 5.2. Cool. Uh, sure. Let's download. 1 minute left. You see me? No shit. Multiplayer game. So not not including quit, which was just my preference. 2 nodes to do multiplayer game, and that's all. This is not really important for the final project. It's just proving that the Unreal Engine works as a multiplayer environment very, very quickly. And then imagine it gets pretty complicated from there, right? So, uh, yep, so mine just started down. I don't know. I downloaded a second time in a row because I'm trying to clog up the tubes of the internet. All right, 5 seconds left. So Zoe, when you look in the content folder, does it have anything in the content folder? And you're opening it with 5.2.1. All right. You'd be on the VPN to connect to me, but not on the VPN to open the project. You don't see the project at all? Okay, so I just downloaded it from my zip folder or from my Dropbox. We will right click and say extract to a folder. It's now in a folder, right? I'm not reading it from the zip file. And let me close. Well, I don't want to close mine just yet. And I have all the things here. So just make sure that you're extracted the zip file to a folder, not running it from the zip folder. Okay, that's it. I mean, again, it's Windows appreciation class too. Like you would think if you double click a zip folder, it would open the zip folder, not let you edit the zip folder information. Cool. Again, not the greatest importance, but I'm showing you how you can do it so that you can do this with your own friends. Right. And I haven't, I would be interested to see if 16 people jumped in if we have some issues. Again, I'm running from a laptop. We're running from, Wi-Fi, not from Ethernet. Um, you can start making all sorts of rules about random costumes and random things you put on there. You see how this could be super fun for moving on. Guys, this is like if you think this is cool, it's going to get way cooler today. This is proof of concept. Proof of concept. There you go. Right. I just always felt that everything multiplayer was so complicated, and everyone's like, you have to learn C++, and you have to. It's that simple, guys, to get yourself started. Right. All right. So I'm going to pull the plug on this because I'm the server. No one can join anymore, right? You're all going to get booted. That's another rule. Is that we want to run servers. We want servers to always be running. And that's no problem listening servers. Is that when I hit that glorious escape button, everyone's sent away. Okay. Thank you for playing along with me. And that also proves your zero tier is connected. There we go. So cool. Let me hit on pause. Okay. So here's the repository we've created, right? And then everyone's names are here with a password next to it. I can add people here. I can remove people, and then I can update when it's done. I don't need to do that anymore. Cool. So here is our repository. Great. I'm going to copy that, paste it. Moving on. All right, so the software for using for interfacing on Windows called Tortoise SVN, and on Mac it's called Snail SVN. What do they have in common? Snails and tortoises. Shit's slow. Okay, so I'm no sugarcoating. That's why we have to be mindful of this. We're doing it for free. All right. This one's a tortoise. The other one's a snail. Right. So download 64-bit tortoise SVN. I hope no one has a 32-bit computer in a computer graphics class. And then it's called it's a shell script, right? It's built into your contextual menu. So if I go to a folder in my Unreal projects, let's see, documents, Unreal projects, and I right click somewhere, or in Windows 11 to shift right click somewhere, you'll see that I actually don't have Tortoise SVN installed on this computer. Good, because I just started at the beginning of the semester. So let's do it together. And hopefully I don't have to start my computer over. Downloads, 64-bit, most recent version. And you are all encouraged to do this along with me. I'm going to remote him to my Mac and do a Mac as well in a second. And yes, everything I know is a little slow right now. All right, 20 megabytes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and install Tortoise SVN. It says I need to close all these, otherwise I'll need to reboot. So let's see if it will let me close all these. It won't let me close OBS, so I'm going to go ahead and so we have a repository, and that is on our spreadsheet that we're sharing. I'm going to put that on my clipboard, and then on my computer somewhere, which this computer only has one hard drive, so I'll just put it in Documents, Unreal Projects, and I'm going to make a new folder. The new folder is going to be for our final project. This is where the final project is going to live on your computer for the next few weeks. So I'm going to call it VPD 2023. I'm going to do underscore WC. WC stands for working copy. I can actively scan my Unreal projects and see which ones are actually being worked on and which ones are not being worked on. I always put a WC at the end for active projects. And then inside of this empty folder, holding down Shift and right clicking, I now have a contextual menu for Tortoise. And it says, do I want to do all this junk? No, I just want to check out the project from the repo. The repo has been created like an hour ago. It's empty. It'll be at revision 0. If I go back to my spreadsheet, this is all, sorry, this is all in bigger format here if you want to go along with the presentation. All right, so I'm going to right click. It's in my clipboard, and I'm going to say checkout, and therefore it's auto-populating in this space right here. All right, there's svn.toddjbryant.com, blah, blah, blah. And where is it going to? It's going to the checkout directory. That's where I right-clicked on. Everything should be good. I didn't change a thing. It's going to say, what's my username? Well, usernames are all in that list. It's on your spreadsheet, right? Here's everyone's username, and here's everyone's password. I assume no one wants to like break into somebody else's subversion to like, I'm going to add a blue light on your blueprint. All right, so capital T, BP123. Everyone puts their own name, and what this is doing is saying that it now tracks every change I make. It says Todd, 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 Todd. If you see something you don't like, you say, "Who did this?" Todd did it. Todd, can you fix it? Todd, can you let it go? We know who has what, right? We're gonna start checking out files and adding files, and it's gonna associate our name with that, and we're gonna have 17 different names that are gonna be doing things, and that's how we can identify who did what, right? I now have a window from Tortoise that says I'm at revision 0. Okay. Right. I've pulled it. It's now connected. If I look inside the folder, I haven't done this on Windows 11 before. Let's see. View. Can we show hidden items? I showed a hidden items, and now there's this ghost little folder that says .svn. This is all the versions. It's saving locally all the different versions. So these things will get big. Right. There's a hidden folder for SVN. It's connected. Cool. So let's do Mac. I'm going to remote into my Mac at home. It's great for watching Netflix. I highly recommend them. Good screen. Trackpad is really great for gestural interface. All right. Um, this is my farmhouse. This is not right. And then you see that I have. Uh, I already have it installed. Let's do snail SVN Lite. Cool. It should have an icon on the top. I didn't see it at the beginning. The steps. You have to add permissions. You know how Macs like ask for more permissions when you want to like download apps from other developers, stuff like that. So you're gonna have to where is it? This thing right here. You're gonna have to say yes to adding Snail SVN as an extension, and that allows it to be in the right-click menu, and they'll look exactly the same and they'll behave exactly the same. They are the same program for two different operating systems, right? So on my Mac, I can only have one working copy with Snail. So this is a test I did. I'm going to get rid of it. All right. And then I'm going to make a new folder somewhere in my Unreal projects, probably. And same thing, new folder, VPD 2023. working copy. Then I can go to my working copies and potentially add it. Oh, I want to check out an SVN as a working copy. Where is it? It's in, it is here. I'm having to copy this because I didn't have AnyDesk open beforehand. Copy, back here, paste, and then where's the folder I just made? That was in here. Cool. And we say OK. A legal repository. Oh, there's some sort of junk character at the very beginning. 1 second, let me do that again. I copied and pasted incorrectly. Paste. And just delete H. Where does it go? Cool. Username. It does not let me change my username. Let's see what happens. VP123. There we go. Now let's change it. So capital T, ODD, and then VP123. Save. Cool. At revision 0 on my Mac as well. All right. So going back to the slides, we've now created both a Mac and a Windows connection to our repository. In this folder that's empty, before we get the stakes get too high, let's just do a text file. So Todd was here. Right click, towards SVN. I want to now commit. Todd was here. What is it? I want to make sure I check that one out. And now I'll write a message to everyone. Todd added. And then I can start typing Todd was here. And then it actually auto-populates that line for me. Todd was here, text. And I can also maybe say that this is the initial commit. This is version 1. Upload it. Boom. We're now at version 1. If I go back to my Mac and I go to that folder and I right click update, I'm now at, I gotta do this again. Let's do VP123. Now I get to write it again. Todd VP123. Oh, sorry. Cool. I'm at revision 1 and now I see a text file saying Todd was here. I can make my own text file here and I could say Todd was here on a Mac. So you guys feel free to give me text files only or GIFs or whatever and start adding them to the repo. At this point, you can't screw up anything. It's fine. What could go wrong? Right? So I'm going to minimize my Mac and I can, again, the idea now, while you guys are doing that, which you can do without talking, um, the idea is that you are pushing and pulling, right? You are updating and committing. Updating your local, and then you're committing what you're doing from local. Or you're pulling from the server and you're pushing to the server, right? So you'll see inside of my uh, syllabus, there's an SVN checklist that you were going to start, like this is your mantra you're going to say over and over again. Always update when you sit down. Always pull before you do any changes. Make sure you connect Unreal Engine to source control within the software. I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then always push and commit after kind of saving, right? If you go for lunch, push. If you're coming back from lunch, pull. If you're working with a version that's old, you might start having conflicts and stuff like that. There's ways around that, and there's ways that will alert you. But these are the ideas. Always when you sit down, get a fresh version. That's the most recent version, and then when you're done, go away. You don't want to go to a movie for 2 hours. You have all the project locked in your own computer, and everyone's texting you saying, "I'm screwed. I'm screwed. I'm screwed." Make sure that when you're done, you return it back to everyone else, and then they can grab what they need. Right. So there you go. So let's continue on with the uh, the steps. So I can see if anyone else has joined me here, say to update, and we now have Lee. Lee is here and added a text file. Great. Right. So Lee is now, and you're on a Surface Pro. Are you? Yeah, you're remoting into something. Yeah, great. So he is running Unreal Engine from a potato, but he has version control running, so that's all that matters. Cool. So let's show you how to do an Unreal, and by doing Unreal, I want to do it with our final project. So let's create our final project. We're going to be using 5.2, and we're going to use a new template that we haven't used before. There's two templates designed for multiplayer collaborative design. VR is an essential in a lot of things, but I have seen VR being very useful for understanding scale and perspective, and especially when designing things. So one of them is in automotive. You'll see that there's a collab viewer for automotive things, and then there's one for architecture. Architecture was first, so it's just like nostalgic for me to use it. So I'm creating a new project. You guys aren't doing this. I'm doing this. I'm going to create my Unreal projects. I'm going to call it um, VPD 2023 Final. No starter content. We don't care about ray tracing. And that's going to create this project. This project's only 68 megabytes. Hopefully, I'll be reducing the amount of bottlenecking we're having today by keeping it small. We're not going to add anything today to the project. We're just going to just go for a test drive to see all the features. Cool. So I know this collaborative template. This is architectural, and it has multiplayer built into it. Okay. It has two maps you'll see here by default. One is called login level. That is where we actually start the process. It's where you hit play from standalone, and it will then bring us to sample level. You can take sample level and replace it with whatever level you're working on, and then or you can change the blueprints for how where the login level takes you. But essentially, this template has a ton of things like you can stencil, you can draw, you can measure, you can explode things, you can not like blow up, but like make things expand and see the different parts of it. You can make things, transparent. You can do all sorts of features in this. And I've had tons of clients who've asked me if I could build this for them. I'm like, sure, template, here it is. And then you can build your project, and people can then remote in and do this remote collaboration. Super important back in, even more in the pandemic. So uh, let's go ahead. But I want to put this in the repository so you guys can get it too, and you can join me. So I'm not going to do anything to this project. It is as it is. I'm close it now. There is a guide for SVN for Unreal Engine 5. Um, and it tells you what folders are important to sync. And I could put this again in Slack for you for posterity, but for right now, I'm in charge and I'll set it up right for you. So week 9, we now have this reference guide. And the important thing is to know that you only need to really save your config and content. Content is obviously all your assets and your everything that's in your project. Config is like things like what is the loading level, all the different like render settings. That's all your settings. And then obviously you want to have the project file. Source is only if you're doing a C++ project. We won't be using C++ for this, so we don't need to worry about source or Xcode or Visual Studio for this. Cool. So back to my Explorer. I have this working copy right here, and then I have the project I just made. I've closed out of it so I can move it around. This one is already synced. You can't add SVN to a folder that already has content into it. So this is this is waiting for this project to go inside. Boom. Now it's in here. I want to mark everything add for revision. I'm going to hold down Shift, right click, and say, let me go back 1 second. Let me go up a level. Let me add that folder to revision. I say add. Say sure, add everything. And once it knows about all the folders, give it a second. It's going to send me a little window. There it goes. So that's all the files in the project. And then now that it knows about all of them, I'm going to say, now that you know about all these folders, do not give me these. We've established that saved is where like screenshots and renders go, crash files. We don't want all that stuff. That's personal. That'll stay on your own hard drive. It won't be synced to a server. We don't need to share that back and forth. It can get really, really big and it's unnecessary. So I'm going to go over here to first SVN and say unversion and ignore. Sorry. So subversion, tortoise, unversion and ignore those, and they're no longer being synced. Now, when I right click and say commit or push, it has config folders, it has content folder, but it doesn't have anything else. It doesn't see those other folders. We're ignoring them. I'm going to say initial commit of final project. I'm going to spell commit and say okay. And now, right now, it's adding them. It's not uploading them. It's just adding them. It's saying, okay, that one, 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 and then now it's sending. So it's pushing this content. Okay. There's no point in you trying to download it yet because it's not up there. Not. It won't be until the very, very end. It sends like the caboose. The caboose says, and it's up. And when the caboose is up, then you guys can find it. If it errors out, if there's some sort of Wi-Fi connection thing, if it doesn't all make it up, then it doesn't count. Again, I think this is only 80 megabytes, so it should be pretty reasonable. In the meantime, I can still open it up and show you the next step, which is using Unreal Engine as its own source control. So you don't have to use Tortoise or Snail. It's useful, especially when doing bigger pushes, because it doesn't have to render the graphic interface. But you also have it built into Unreal Engine. It's down here at the bottom right, says revision control. You say connect to revision control. What do you see here? Those things we were talking about before, plastic, get, perforce. We're using subversion. Where's my repository? It's still here. What's my username? Well, my username is capital TODD, and my password is VP123. When I say accept settings, you'll then get a happy little checkbox at the bottom right, and then I can do things like say, I'm going to check this out so no one can touch it. It's mine. Right? Or it'll analyze when I add files. It'll then let me know what I can upload, and I can push and pull content inside of the engine itself. So let's say I add in an empty map. All right, I'll make my own folder. Oops, get rid of this thing. I'm gonna make my own folder for our stuff. So assets, and make a folder for. I'll make a map called Todd. All right, so we're gonna do maps, and I'm gonna make a level for me. That's gonna be blank. It's gonna say new level LVL Todd. And then there's a checkbox here. I say save all. Sorry, there's a question box, and I see that is now a green plus. This is a file that's not in the repository. It lets me know that it is on my computer only. And if I right click on it, or if I go down here, I can say submit content. It looks through the entire project, and it says, you've added a level called Todd. Adding Todd. And if I want to keep it checked out so no one else can edit it, I can say keep it, but I'm going to return it to the ether from which it came. And now it says, good job, Todd. You are at revision 8, right? And then I prefer to pull from the Explorer. I go back to my root project folder and say update, and I'm now at revision 8 everywhere. Cool. I can also, again, there's tons of settings in Tortoise SVN. I can look at my log, which is the third icon from the top, and I can actually see a list that's date and time stamped of what everyone did and the messages they sent to me and what files they worked on. Right? So ZA only added in text here. Todd added in these folders here. Right? So we have a log of where everything happened, and I could say, you know what, I'm not really interested about the whole project. I'm really just interested about that map called level. That's called map level Todd. I can say, show me the log on this one. And there it is. And if I want to, I can then revert to previous version, say, no, 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 no. I like Todd from version 6, revert back to 6, and then it updates it for everyone else that that's the version we're using. So super useful tools. Lots of things to worry about. Don't worry about any of them. When we screw it up, then we'll worry about it, and I'll show you how to fix it. There is a book on Tortoise SVN. Don't read it. I'll read it for you. There's other books to read. Take a book from our library. Cool. So everyone should be able to have a folder that's empty on their in their folder structure somewhere. Maybe put a WC at the end for working copy, and you should now have checked out at some point this project. I would recommend that everyone's on revision 8, and this is what you do before we do every project a working session. We'll say, what revision are we on? And you're like, should I just put something else? We're on 9. Okay, guys, everyone get back to 9, right? So everyone's gonna pull and be on 9, and then we're all gonna get going, right? Because if not, then one person won't see anything in that revision 9, and it'll be very confusing, right? If somebody added a big shoe in the map and that was revision 10, and everyone was on revision 9, the shoe doesn't exist for everyone else. So we'll make sure we're in the same one. So I'm going to update again. We're at 8. Everyone cool? Anyone need help at this point? There's a lot. We can catch up later on. I can help you during the break. We're going to open up the project together. And again, as many people want to try this as possible. It's super fun. And again, it's only at 80 megabytes, so hopefully it's not too crazy. And then, like I was saying, go to the lobby level. Sorry, login level. So everyone goes to this login level. It's completely empty. Right? Um, Login level just has a game mode. That's all the rules around multiplayer, around where it should go to afterwards, right? Like if I look at my game mode, it says it's loading all these things, right? And what do my pawns look like? This also works in VR, by the way. If you're VR, it'll give you a different icon and being in VR. Um, and then from here, remember we're going standalone game. Don't do selected viewport. It's the 3 dots on the side, standalone game, and it's going to give you a menu. Username can be whatever I want it to be. I'll be nice and call it Todd. And then we have the option of hosting a session, joining a session, and local session. We're just going to use the first two. The first one is a listen server. I'm going to host a session. And the second one is you guys, you're going to join a session. Joining a session looks like this. It's never going to find anything. It's never going to find anything. You're always going to say, give me an IP address. Your name's here. Enter the IP address and which IP address. That's why we're keeping these IPs in a list. And you guys can steal me, right? So take this value, 192.168.192.61. That's my address. and you're going to put it into here. Will it work at this point? No, because I'm not hosting anything yet. But wait for me. I just want to show you what you do because once I host one, I can't show you what it looks like to join one. So this is what we're going to say for joining. I'm going to close out of here. That was not what I meant to do. You come back. I'm going to host her. Everything's fine. Cool. So Todd, and I'm going to host a session. Again, I'm in a standalone, and then I'm here. My shaders are compiling, but they're doing it fairly quickly from Swift Shader. Nice. Shout out to Swift Shader. And look, I have a friend. There you go. All right. So people can start joining in. This is fly mode, WASD. All right. Walk mode means we're on our feet. We can only do things that are, with architecture, right? We have to walk upstairs. We can't go through things. I don't really think orbit mode works really well, but that's like point it at something and then orbits around it. Do not hit the VR button. If you don't have VR connected, it will crash. Or do it and just watch it crash. You get the VR headset connected to it. Cool. Um, there we go. Siri is now joining in. Unfortunately, if you're on a Mac, it will boot you like every 10 minutes. That's just the way it is with Mac. Right. If you're in VR, I'm going to go back to fly mode. Um, if you are in VR mode, your avatar will be in VR mode. Cool. So you can save states, and we have audio, right? We can communicate over a microphone with each other as well. There's features in here we can utilize. If I hit spacebar, right, spacebar, we have things like transform, annotate, snapshot, X-ray, measurement, scale, bookmark, and 3D out volume. I don't know what that one means. So if I were to do transform, I can say I want to move this object somewhere. Zero, can you see me moving a tree?
Yeah,
Right. If I stop this project, that tree is going to be back where it was at the beginning. This is not a permanent change. We're just doing a design sprint, right? We're going to move the tree here. You like the tree here? Okay. So I moved it. I can reset it back to where it was. I'm going to hit spacebar so we can reset them all, right? I could say, oh, I want to add something to this tree, and I want it to be this tall, right? And we can start measuring things, right? So it becomes a measurement tool. You click on things, you can see where I'm clicking, hit spacebar, measurement, add. Okay, we need a add. There you go. We need a chair that's 1.71 meters. Let's somebody make that now. So right, so we're now in multiplayer. We can do this in VR. We can do this remotely, and we can do all these different tasks. Now my two friends that are in here with me, if you hit spacebar and you go to bookmark, you see that there's bookmarks right here. Hit second floor. So now there we are. We have a way of wayfinding, right? This is location scouting. We can create entire worlds and say, here's a bookmark. Come here. This is where I want this set to happen. I've already put the rocks here. There's this prop for that actor to use, and now we're doing location scouting using multiplayer design tools. Okay, so that's the homework: is to actually pull the project, go in, create a map of your own. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so I'm gonna boot you guys out. Escape doesn't work because they didn't code escape into here like I do. They have to hit the X thing. You guys are now booted. Don't worry, I'm gonna do the homework for you. I'm gonna give you an example of the homework is. So, uh, I have a map that I made called Level Todd. Level Todd um, is a completely blank map. I'm gonna add in a object. I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm going to add in a basic shape, right? Like a cone. I can't see the cone because there's no lights in my world. So let's add in a little spotlight. Don't add a directional light because we're going to add this to the main map and you don't want multiple directional lights. Do like point lights, square lights, spotlights. So I'm going to do spotlight, add it in. I can now see my cone. And let's make a material for, sorry, a folder for map for materials. And here I'm going to create one called M color base. And this is the base material for just putting in color. 3 constant. And by default, I'll make it 111 RG and a B. Hit save. For me, I'm going to right click on this one and create an instance and call it MI material instance Todd. And material instance Todd now can be, I don't see the variable, so it's just a constant. We have to actually convert it to a parameter called color. And then when I save it, it's now something that can be addressed. I gave it a parameter name, and now I have a color. Give it a color, add it to my cone. The light can also be a setting. There you go. Blue light, pink cone. There you go. Hit save. And I'm going to check out everything. Right, so now checking it out, no one can get the things that I've checked out. I've created these 2 new things. They have pluses on them. And if I go to my maps, I can see that there's a checkbox next to LVL Todd. I've checked it out. No one else could get this one. If somebody else had it checked out, if Siru had it checked out, it would say currently edited by Siru. I would say on Slack, Siru, I need to see that map. Can you check it in real quick? I need to check it out to make a change. Right? It tells me who everyone is. That's why we're using a login with unique names, not using the same login. Right? So I have all these things. Cool. I'm going to go to the main sample level. So I'm going to make an edit, and this probably can change that as well. We've talked a little bit about sub levels, right? We had a persistent with sub levels we're turning off and on for the final. I'm going to drag in LVL Todd here. It has a blue dot, meaning that it's only being opened by blueprints. I want to make it always loaded. And it is bolded, which means it's the active level. I now have a map right here. If I edit anything, it's editing that map. I can also edit where the map is. This map has its own little widget that you can move entire maps around. Super useful as we're starting combining things. If that's too much, I can always just move the assets within the map. All right, come down here, do whatever I want to. What's cool about this is that we can all have our own maps we have checked out, and we're working on them individually. Right? No one checks out the persistent map except maybe the technical director, and everyone has their own map. If you remember our style guide we looked at a while back, UE5 style guide, and you go down to the map section, you see that there's persistent, but there's audio, there's lighting, there's geometry, there's gameplay. Everyone can have their own map. I've worked on projects where there's 30 maps on top of each other, and that's a way for everyone to check out their own maps. This is being sunset a little bit for large open world maps. They have a thing called one file per actor, and you can now access individual actors inside of a map. It's overly complicated for what we're doing here. Just everyone has their own map. Okay, what we're doing now, all these collaborative tools don't work with it just yet, so we're staying in this format of having our map. So, but when I hit play, this map exists because I said it's always loaded. Cool. Last thing I'm going to do is look at some of these assets uh, that are some of these blueprints in here. So inside of our content folder, we have collaborative viewer, and inside of the collaborative viewer are some of the blueprints. And I have put in the syllabus a lot more documentation that you can really get into, all the things you can do in the collaborative template. One of them being change the base map, so you guys can like work on the map you're actually working on and stuff. It's pretty quick to go through all this stuff. Um, but I'm going to use one blueprint, and that blueprint's called bookmarks. Underneath tools, no blueprints. Mans? I can always search for it. Bookmark. So I have a BP bookmark. Or if I go to my outliner, open up the level, I see that I have bookmarks already here. And these bookmarks called front yard, second floor, right? These are the names that are the bookmarks. I can look for, browse to it, and it'll show me where it is. Right? So I want a bookmark so that we can all location scout to my map. Bring it right here. It's not added to my map. It's added to the persistent because the persistent's active. Cancel. Active. You can do this before you merge the maps, but or you can put it persistent and then do a thing where you right click and say move selected actor to level. But I have the bookmarks right here. I'm going to add it to the map, and then with the bookmark select, you see it's a camera. I'm going to right click on the bookmark and say pilot. Move it to where I want. Eject. There's this thing where it gets really big for some reason. They have never fixed this in a bunch of years. Just look and see that it's all been reset to 10,000. Boop. Anyway, that's just like the widget for the bookmark. If you hit play, it wouldn't be like that. There it is. Now it's back to normal. And save all. Now, if you two are still following along and you still connect, and if anyone else is connected, I'm going to go to my revisions, submit content. It's looking for everything that's changed. It identifies that I have altered these and that I've made these new ones. So I'm going to say adding my homework. And see, it's a little slower if you do it through Unreal, and this is why I often just close Unreal and push it through the Explorer. So it says revision 9. You guys, can you pull and see for revision 9? Or anyone else who would like to follow along? And then the idea is that I mean, it's not really that important. You'll see that when I go to the login level, host a server again. I forgot to do one thing, didn't I? Always one thing. Wait for it to load, then tell it to go away. If I go to my sample level and I look at the bookmark I just added, I forgot to give it a name. It's called Todd Mark. Now I can save all. And then submit. Oops. All level 10. Okay. Or sorry, revision 10. So now revision 10. You guys want to pull again, but the important thing here is that when I start the server, it won't let me use username. Username. It will. Okay. When I host a session, the important thing is that spacebar, bookmark, there's now a Todd mark. and we can look at the things together. So we're now location scouting, and this is how we're going to go through the project as we add things in. Like, where's your thing? Oh, it's not even in this map; it's another map. We're going to find things. This is one way of doing it. We're going to find a more robust tool called multi-user editing soon, but this gets us the idea. So Siru, you want to come hit spacebar, bookmarks. You come and hang out with me, and now you've there you are. Yep, just creeping, just follow me wherever I go. So that's the homework is for everyone to, to make your own, and we're going to go on location scouting last week, and you can show us, and it's step by step. I did one called base color, not M main, so whatever. Make an instance, um, add your assets and stuff, and make your folder for your name, and then add it to it, and then upload it, and we're going to go on location scouting next week to prove that you guys got it. So that's it for the stuff. I actually was supposed to give a lecture at the very beginning that gives context to the whole thing for today. I'll do that when we come back from a break. Uh, I don't have permission to give you guys that food outside, so please leave our clients' food alone until I can maybe ask them for permission. So just have fun elsewhere and eat the other things that I have for you. All right? Cool. Um, I'll see you back at 3:50. Give you guys 15 minutes to stretch your legs, run around, ride a scooter,